Hey everybody, my name is Skye. This is Marabella. We both
Hi.
are raw food people. Hey
Yeah.
Marabella.
Hi, Skye. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I've actually been looking forward to doing this topic all week. It's like
Yes.
it's been buzzing through my system.
Yeah.
Doing shadow work.
Yes. Shadow work is such a huge part of our growth and of like our emotional healing. And one thing I wanted to ask you is I know that you went to the Lady Gaga concert. And I was like just living vicariously through you. I was loving your pictures, and I was wondering what was like going on for you. Like, how do you prep for a concert like that when you're raw? Especially knowing that there's going to be all kinds of temptations food wise around, maybe alcohol. I don't know if you ever got into drinking alcohol or anything like that, but there's the alcohol, there's like, and how do you power yourself up? And then also, she can be quite controversial, like a lot of people. I really love her. I saw her on an interview and I really loved her personality. I just thought, like, if we were in Hollywood, if I was in Hollywood, maybe we'd be friends. Like, I got that vibe from her. Yeah, I liked
Ah,
her, but that was a lot to throw at you at once. But I
no.
was just
So
curious.
this is really interesting because when I first went raw vegan, and this is part of my journey. I'd been through so much. I mean, sick most of my life. Before I got well, I'd been homeless, so much like I'd been disconnected from my family, so much pain, so much suffering. And then all of a sudden, I felt amazing. Now, one of the ways I felt amazing was always choosing things which made me feel good, as in
Mm,
like without a side effect. So people will be like, "Oh, pizza makes me feel good." Yeah, but the next morning it doesn't. That's the whole package. You have to consistently feel good and grow. Okay. Sometimes we make mistakes, but trying to do raw food because it consistently made me feel good. Go in the ocean, it made me feel good. Choose people who made me feel good, including the next day made you feel good. Like it was consistent to feel good. So, in that, a lot of people would talk about, choices they make, and I'd hear about the shadow work, and I wouldn't even address it. As in, like, you go
yeah.
raw vegan and everything is light. Everything is
Yes.
light and fairy. And people will talk about they go into like, they journal and they go into like some of their trauma. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't do that. And I still can't sit in that space. But
Okay.
when it comes to music, when I healed, I just didn't cry and couldn't cry very much. But I danced. When I got up, I would move to the music. I would put on songs, some from when I was younger, and I would literally be back there. And also, I couldn't concentrate on TV or watch things. So a lot of it was all I had was memories and the
Mhm.
ones that I could access. And the songs that I was drawn to were from about 10 years ago. And that's when I had that final hysterectomy, like when everything that way stopped. But then I actually got even sicker. So I'm not sure why, but all actually different songs I would sing through and act out, like how we talk about make believe and play, but not in
Yes.
such a like trauma horrific way, in a way where music seems to be able to turn trauma into almost like fun, right?
Oh,
You know what
wow.
I mean?
Yes.
And I think that was a safe space for me in healing. I don't think my brain could take more pain, so it was locked out. But I think when you're like, Lady Gaga, stop calling, I don't want to think any, and Bad Romance, like it's a bad,
Yeah.
oh, it's
Wow.
bad, but she's
Yeah.
made it fun. Now, I think that was a safe space for me, right? And so I've listened
Mhm.
to music. I'm a big fan of music. I'm obsessed with music. And people with ADHD, apparently it grounds them. Like beat can be in the background can really help. So
Oh,
I learned this recently. But when it comes to music, I never address the dark side. And people talk about it a lot, doing shadow work, like going back, revisiting situations, people. And this is so what am I 5 years into almost 5 years into what I call my healing journey. And this concert came up. Now here's some things. I've been out with my sister and brother and nieces before in
uh-huh.
situations where there's drinking and music,
Yeah.
parties. So I am a little well rehearsed. And I think that level made it feel safe as well. But I didn't know until I got to the concert how it could bring that trauma up in a fun,
Oh,
stop, can't stop, and Bad Romance. And I'm so strong now. So, and I'm with my sister, and we disconnected for a while. So that was healing. Being with my niece was very healing. And I just can't believe how much I was able to heal by diving into that space. And I would not address even shadow work. I was like, it doesn't exist. Once you heal, you don't go there. But the reality is I feel stronger and more grounded because I kind of faced my past. And this, and for preparing for it, I was an alcoholic and my liver failed before I did this. I was on massive amounts of pain medication off the back of all my surgeries, 4 years,
Oh,
like
wow.
fentanyl, ketamine, OxyContin, morphine, all sorts of things, right? Valium, antidepressants, ADHD medication. I haven't done any of that in God knows how long. So we're putting me in like not just a zone around food, but also a whole lot of triggers, right? That anytime I used to be around music, obviously, if you're quite stimulated, if you're on ADHD medication, drinking, all these things. So what I did is I make my own fun, and this is part
Yeah.
of my journey, and that is I juiced most of the day to stay
Yes.
light and energized. But then I had a few squares of cacao before I left, just
Uh-huh.
because it gives me like, it's not even like I like it that much, to be fair, but it
Yeah.
gives me a bit of like, as you said, it helps your heart open, it helps you hear
Yes.
things, it's stimulating. And
Huh?
it was like a treat for me. Like I'm
Oh,
going into an area, like literally people are eating around me, like chips, ice cream, Krispy Kremes. We went out for dinner. I had like salad with olives. I am well trained in doing it.
yes.
I wanted to do that for myself. But off the back of that, like what, I just can't believe how, like I came home buzzing. I feel like I've been buzzing all week. It was magical. So
Oh, right. Your pictures, you just look like you're having the
yeah,
best time. And our emotions, even if we've done healing work, if we've done some sort of therapy, still we have the root of the cause in our bodies. We have the trauma stuck in our bodies. So if we can move and shift, then we can release. And especially if you're kind of aware of things coming up, because once you start on that healing journey and things start to loosen up, you get memories at times, you get all kinds of things. Sometimes, like you said, music may bring up certain memories, may bring up certain emotions or things that happened as a childhood trauma and this and that. And so what a beautiful way to work through some of this is with dancing. It just would be so amazing. And you're kind of teaching people that, you can go to a concert and you can go to a concert. Well, several reasons to go to a concert. You love the artist, but to have fun, but who knew that you could go and release trauma at the same time and like
I think,
raise to another level of frequency. It's so incredible. And I love that you juiced before because juice is so high vibrational and makes you feel so good. And the cacao um, is, I find it to be heart opening and also grounding and kind of
yes,
shifts things in my brain to where I'm fearless, so it's not that you have inhibitions. It's just that you wouldn't do anything that you wouldn't normally do. But if you have a thought to do it, you want to dance, you want to sing out loud, and normally
mm,
you're like really shy, you just do it.
yes. Like
It's
I
better
made
than
my own cacao ceremony, right? I took the cacao ceremony
oh,
to the same.
yay! That's so
So
great. Brilliant.
it is, a lot of, so I have a lot of trauma, obviously. We all have trauma, but I had completely not gone to places, met up with people that I hadn't seen in years from when I was sick. And recently I've been doing all of that more. It has really triggered me, but we have to remember how strong we become when we heal. I am not the same person as back then. And there's something else I want to touch on, and that is there's a song, I don't think she sung it at our concert, but it was never released by Gaga, called
Mm.
Brooklyn Nights. And she wrote it because she became famous so quickly. She actually missed her cozy, quiet, poor, essentially, or, not flamboyant life, right?
Oh,
And I resonate with that so much because my life changed like that. Like it just from being so sick to being healthy. And I've shared this, but I don't know whether people know is I do miss myself. You know, I don't want all the symptoms back. And I think sometimes I even think I do. Like as
oh,
in
yeah.
you miss part of yourself. Like I changed so dramatically and you can't go back. But in a
Right.
way, doing the and parts of my memory aren't there because of the way I healed and I just lost parts of my memory to trauma. But to go back in strength is healing you can't just heal everything with light. And I'm
Mhm.
learning this now
Mhm.
to actually become the complete Skye. So my brain's very fractured. I refer and think of myself as almost different people. And it's quite it sounds quite complex, but when I am a different version of myself, I actually can do traits of what I was good at that time. I wouldn't say it's full split personality. Each psychiatrist is open to their opinion, but it's like a coping strategy. As I go along, I get more memories back, but it seems a lot of it is able to assimilate and come together
Yeah.
when I go into the dark with my strength now and I feel more and more like myself.
Mm.
And yeah, it's interesting.
So, how old were you? Were you born with illnesses, or did it come on as, how did things start to come about for you?
Sure. So I was 8. Before that, I was just a normal child. And then I got chicken pox. And after chicken pox, I could barely get back to school. So it was normal chicken pox. But then I
Wow.
had these massive glands and I'd go to doctors. They're like, your blood test's fine. And mum would watch me and I'd fall asleep in class. People would have to carry me to sick bay. My grandparents were always picking me up, or my parents, but my parents worked. It started off when I got back, I would get through till like Thursday of school and then Wednesday. And in the end, it was Monday or Tuesday. I'd literally fall asleep in class. So it was like chronic fatigue, right, that started back then. I'd get really flushed and hot, my glands, basically glands and fatigue. So I went to ear, nose, and throat specialist after about a year and a half of this. And they said my tonsils had been eaten away by bacteria. And I'd never had tonsillitis. So
Wow.
they said they want to remove it and they want to remove my adenoids if they get in there and they need to. So they did that. I slowly got better as a child. And I then had 4 or 5 years where I was really healthy. And I mean really healthy. Like
Mm.
I did state water polo,
Wow.
rep netball, basketball, school water polo, dancing at Stedfords, touch football. I had my
Yeah.
own boat, a wakeboard, kneeboard. I did it all. Like that was me. And probably helped me survive a bit being that type of person, right? But then when
Right.
16, the chronic fatigue came back, but a severe pain across my back and my pelvis came. And from that point, it was that rare congenital disease that I had in my hip that they didn't find for ages, but I had then those underlying chronic fatigue symptoms. So basically, it is, trauma stops you, right? So I guess it's very fractured how it stopped for me. And there's times where every time I had a surgery in my life, I would do better. And I guess
Yeah.
that's a learning thing too. Then you go back to it, but that's how it went until I got to a point where it had been through so much, and then like losing my stomach, having stomach removed, having full hysterectomy, being on his pain medication, including being put on things like ketamine because the
Wow.
pain. Yeah, it was like walking stick, full time carers most of my life, and then they thought I was not going to make it. My blood work was just showing it was shutting down. They did not think I was going to survive when I was 37. And then my brain fractured. And it was like I just dissociated. Some days wouldn't talk, couldn't remember my name some days, and thrown in a psych unit. And that's just a whole traumatic story in itself. But I came out with very little memory, but did kind of better for a year until it came back with shingles through the eye and a functional neurological disorder. So it's been, but then when I found raw foods, you get people like, oh, well, that's rock bottom for you. I'm like, oh, I hadn't hit rock bottom yet. Rock bottom is so far down for me. It was when I was homeless. I had FND, couldn't talk, was having seizures outside, had money, couldn't use my phone. Like
Oh,
I didn't have any support. And then one of my family members got me a place, and I'd been vegan, and I just ate the food raw because I couldn't, too sick to cook. And
yeah.
from that point, went very quickly, very, very quickly, I got well.
Wow. That is so incredible. Like, the raw foods literally healed you.
Like 6 weeks, I had no symptoms. I
Oh
don't
my
remember
gosh.
the last time or if I'd ever not had symptoms besides when I first got out of hospital when I lost a lot of my memory. I did better that year, but since 16, I had had just a truckload of symptoms and diagnoses off the back of having like real huge problems. Like they would even fix those, but those symptoms and then raw foods
Oh my
gone.
gosh. That's
Yeah.
so incredible. It's like magic, raw magic. Raw magic. That's the
Oh,
name of our
magic! It
podcast,
is like,
guys.
and that's why very quickly, within a
Yeah.
few months of being well, of doing nothing most of my life, I'm building a website. I'm like jumping in the ocean daily, going for. I'm like building my website was part. It's posting on Instagram. I'm like I've got to tell people. I've got to
Yes.
tell people that
Oh
this can
my gosh, it's
happen.
so exciting.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's just like raw and it's so healing. You'll be raw for life. There's no way that you'll ever go back to cooked, I imagine. Do you eat any cooked ever or
No.
in yeah.
But now
No,
you
I
know
don't
why, right? Once you
right.
know my story. So how it went about. So the raw foods would get me up, and I'm like, I can hang my clothes out. And it would
Wow.
take me a few days to get it out. Usually it'd be by the heater in the
Yeah.
dry heat. It would be left for ages. These are just things that I could never do. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, oh, I'll make myself now. I don't have to lay in bed eating celery and carrots and handfuls of nuts. Like I can actually, I was not eating that much because you're so sick. But when I'd eat that, they would just get whatever vegan food. And I'd
Yeah.
worked out that I did not do well with chemicals. That was very clear. And plus, since in 2018, I went paleo, which meant no processed food, a meat dish at night, but a lot of fruit and veg and nuts. And by the end of that year, I credit not having chemicals in my system to just not wanting anything but vegan. And then I was vegan in hospitals. I was scheduled 5 times in 9 psychiatric hospital visits. This was all from when my mind split.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
like one was 10 months. I went missing. People I had the SES and half of Sydney looking for me. I've been through it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but
Are you
anyway,
an
sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go keep going. Sorry. I
Oh,
was
the
just
bit about eating the cooked food. So I would
yeah.
get up and I'd be like, oh, I can make myself some food now. So I would do very basic, as in like dry roasted pumpkin with some tomatoes, garlic, and basil in the oven, right? Just slide it in, get it out whenever it's done. I'd eat it. Then I couldn't get up.
Oh,
So, and my liver was failing. I only drunk for 3 months daily to stop my PTSD, and then my liver back in hospital for 3 weeks. I had
wow.
my iron was completely low, but because my liver was failing, they couldn't infuse. They couldn't give me my iron infusion or B12. They couldn't infuse anything because your liver just can't take like a big amount of things.
Yeah.
So that's going to contribute to my body's ability of energy at that stage, right? Plus, you can hear I've had underlying chronic fatigue, a whole lot
Wow.
of heart palpitations. If I drunk at this period, I just bled from all down below in places. I was so inflamed. So
Wow.
anyway, but that wasn't happening when I ate the cooked food. I wasn't bleeding again. But I would have all these like racing heart, restless legs, not sleeping. All the symptoms would come back, like the generalized like symptoms that people get, fogginess. And so it would take 4 days to get over a cooked meal. But during that time, I'd eat fresh. And then I'd go, oh, I'll have a cooked meal again. So I'd steam some cauliflower and with some, I think, turmeric and maybe some cashews and have a few mouthfuls. Same thing, back to bed. Um, Anything light, just and I didn't own a blender, didn't own anything like that. Just ate it fresh, and that's how my salad that saved my life evolved because I just put all the things in the bowl and kind of shake it up, mix it up, and yeah.
Wow.
So I'm gonna delete that person there. It's so strange when someone shares like their life story and then someone says something. Anyway, sending that
Um,
person love and hope.
so are you the only child or do you have siblings too?
No, my sister. Did you see my sister
Oh,
in
that was your sister. Right, right. That's right.
Yeah.
I remember now. Yep. Your parents must have just been beside themselves. They must have just been I mean, do 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 they feel like you had a bacteria overgrowth, or was there like a name for everything that happened?
Yeah. So I had a rare genital disease where I had a second piece of uterus attached to a ligament, the uterosacral ligament. Now, it's not a second uterus. It's like a piece of uterus. So it's like kind of similar to endometriosis, except what happened in my case is I was born with, like when my organ got made, this second piece of uterus floated off, or the few cells floated off, lodged themselves, and my body built itself around.
Oh,
Now, when you're 8, so when I got chickenpox, when you're 8, your body starts preparing you for puberty. You start building hormones. And what the doctors theorize is, before I went into this acute pain, and I can tell you how bad the pain was in a second, when I was like 16, it just got worse and worse. It was never getting, it was just unbearable.
wow.
Is that they believe my brain was mapped with extra estrogen receptors because the body is aware of extra organs. Like it just maps the body. And so that made my pain sensitivity even higher than a normal person. So when I was 19, I had a gynecologist, and I can't remember, some sort of offsider who does more muscular and nerve work. Anyway, they use these machines for women in labor to give biofeedback. So they
Mm-hmm.
put inside of you, and you've learned to relax your muscles. So when you have the baby, when you have contractions, you've learned how to relax your muscles. So you don't have to use drugs, and you don't have to, less drugs for people, no drugs. They
Right.
put a machine inside of me, and it went so off the chart that there's no high reading. And this is used for women in labor. So
Oh my gosh. Whoa.
that's how I ended up on like 500 milligrams in the morning of OxyContin, 500 at night, Valium, fentanyl patch of 170, all SSRIs, stomach medication, because they removed my stomach, duodenum, top of intestine. Hey, koala mama. So yeah,
Wow.
that's like the basis of it was this disease. But I think something happened where I just had the tendency to have a whole lot of inflammatory symptoms, like most people who have disease. I don't know anyone who doesn't have chronic illness that doesn't get the chronic fatigue, the
Yes.
POTS, fibromyalgia. It ends up where you get, of fibromyalgia, you get tachycardia. And so that happened early for me. So anytime I got unwell, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's big.
Huge. That's just so amazing. You're like a miracle.
Oh,
We're so
thank
grateful
you.
that you're here. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And so when you were, going back to the concert, I've seen your pictures. Your outfit was stunning. You looked
Oh.
amazing. I did see your family with you, and that was so fun. And what do your family eat raw too sometimes, or are they not raw? Not
They're
raw.
definitely not raw. They're definitely not
Mhm.
raw. My nieces eat more raw around me,
Mhm.
but they're definitely not raw.
Yeah.
But I think my greatest gift I want to give to this world is people who know me. You don't have to eat raw food, but at least you know about it. So
Right.
I didn't know about it. Like I discovered it by accident. So imagine
Yeah.
now something goes wrong. Someone can go, hey, Skye's been yapping about raw. She's all her friends heal themselves who are raw. That is enough for me. That I want to bestow onto people. People can make their own choice. But even like, I think it's so different it's one thing to physically heal with raw foods. I say this a lot. I felt like most of my life, all the surgeries and all the drugs and everything else was always addressing just one principle, and that was the physical aspect going on in my body. And
Right.
I was very brainwashed into thinking that that's all it was. Like that's
Yeah.
all it is. Even when you go, I really had no psychological problems until, besides the pain, and you go to psychologists to help you deal with pain. I've had ADHD, but so does most of half the world.
Right.
With that full-blown psychiatric issue where my brain split. But what I felt was happening is most of my life is they were addressing just the physical. So it was all the problem was like lowering every time they did a surgery, or they did some tablets or did something, right? But then the two, like the consciousness and the soul, like the mental health and the soul, were never healed or addressed. And so the problem just came up somewhere else. That's how I ended up having my stomach removed, it bleeding. And I just feel like when I started this health journey, very clearly I noticed eating this food was healing my mind and soul, and that was never touched before. And yes, the more I do nature and the more I go for walks and I'm around good people and I have better self-talk, I just healed more. But in essence, the more I looked after myself and had that principle go where I constantly feel good, I eat, I feel good the next day, I just kept healing and got to a point now where I can very much discern where there's light and there's dark,
Mhm.
and that
Mhm.
it's going into the dark with all my knowledge now. I
Yeah.
really go in and heal like baby Skye, teen Skye, all
Uh,
different levels that you can't necessarily just heal in the light. And it's like
right.
I've also reconnected recently with people that I wouldn't see in places for years. Like I've
Oh,
really, and I think it's healthy. It's hard, but healthy.
yes.
So,
Yes. I think that we have such a view of being high vibrational, and then you can't go into the dark, and or you don't see, or you're pretending, or you're fake, but you get to a point where you feel protected, you don't have fear, you go into maybe a darker space, but you bring the light, Sky. So you brought the light to the concert.
that's what I hope. And also, I I do these things, and it's a mental thing for me as well to help support me. Is do them so you know others can do them. Like we have this mentality that we have to go somewhere and do what others are doing, but why not pre-game with celery juice? Take a
Yes,
selfie with your celery juice in a wine glass. I'm
yes,
constantly having fun. Why would you not want to have fun with celery juice?
right.
Before you can still dress up if you want to dress up.
Yes,
You can still do it all. You don't have to dress up and then drink. You don't have to dress up and then eat the 3 courses and the ice cream and the Krispy Kremes. What
yeah.
if people can actually do it with celery juice
You
or
can do it
grape
your
juice?
way.
Yeah,
Yes.
or persimmons or mangoes. And in
Uh-huh.
truth, every time I do it with things like this, I have a better time. And the example as well was when I was with my sister and brother-in-law in Bali and we went to a day bar. And at this stage, I'd been doing dance classes back in Sydney and I
Oh,
was having fresh, because a day bar in Bali, you get fresh coconuts. So
yeah.
everyone, including younger girls than me, are drinking alcohol, right, all day in the sun. I'm drinking coconuts. Plus, they have a shot tray of coconut, turmeric, spinach, and ginger. And so Holly filmed me, my sister, doing shots of that. Now I was on the dance floor, I reckon, for an hour and a half, nonstop, high vibe, like just, and all the girls who were drinking, who were much younger than me, would come on the dance floor and literally like high vibe it for I reckon 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and then they'd fade and they'd drift off. No one like why? It's kind of begs the question, right? So it's almost like I half go into the dark wanting to start something new. Do you know what I mean? Like start something like you
Yes.
and this is the thing as well with becoming enlightened. You're not supposed to, from what I understand from like yogi teachers and practices and Buddhism, is you're not supposed to just elevate and keep
Mhm.
elevating and keep
Right.
elevating and float and then you just, basically leave this planet. You're supposed to
Yes.
go up levels no matter where you
Yes.
are in life, and then you're supposed to bring the knowledge back down.
I love
You're
that.
supposed to go back up
Yes.
and come back down. And in truth, the more I go up and come back down, the stronger I am and the deeper I can go without
Ye
losing myself, which is to
yes.
me a Lady Gaga concert. In truth, I
Oh,
couldn't have done that when I first elevated.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's super important to stay grounded. And there's a comment that was in here, but I couldn't get rid of it. I couldn't make it go away.
Oh, that's all right.
Um,
Sorry. Yeah.
um, and so, but I love your point of doing yourself, doing what works for you, and not necessarily blending in. I had a party for 4th of July, and I had family over, and I was making my green juice, and it stirred a lot of interest. My sister-in-law was so curious about it, and so she tried it, her family tried it, and then she let me know that for her birthday, that's what she wants. It's just a big
Oh,
thing of
really?
juice, yeah, and so I they liked it so much that I made more juice. I made a carrot mixture, carrot, tangerine, cucumber, and ginger, and the guys really liked that, so we had juice. Everyone
I
had, like, a little
love it.
juice, or at least, like, a little shot of juice to see if they'd like it, and so It's fun. It's so much fun to just be who you are, and it brings light, it brings joy, and that is a great way to get people thinking and to try
Yeah.
something new and to see how much fun we're having and how we don't have like, we can have fun and keep going, and like you said, like, when you were dancing and having fun and dancing on the tables, and the
Yeah.
other girls were, like, crashing out, but you were still going because you had all that natural fuel, you know, that divine juice, the divine heavenly juice, so, I just love that story.
Oh, it was so
So
much fun,
good.
and I feel so proud, on so many levels. That's the dopamine, is you come away and I come back, and I was talking about this about Christmas. A lot of people are worried about Christmas, about what they do, what they bring. So Christmas is a bad example for me because it's middle of summer. I said even my family would probably do a day on just mangoes, maybe a bit of salad and cold meat, but it's not a big deal because it's so hot. But
Yeah,
when it gets colder and I do family events, which a lot of people are going through, it's not just important what I do on the day, and that is I make sure I'm overfed type thing. I will have a bag full of any treats I want to make, a dressing. I never rely on what a person's bringing.
yeah.
But the biggest thing I learned when I overcame all these addictions, when I first went raw, like quitting smoking, vaping, drinking, no more pharmaceuticals, was that when I finished meeting up with somebody and they had all these expensive wines and these courses of dinner and I had a salad and a juice, and I'm very new to all this, is the ritual I did when I came home was probably the foundation of how I got over addiction. So I would always stand in the shower and remind myself it would be at this point I would have anxiety about my hangover, or
Oh,
I wouldn't want to feel it and I want to have it the next day. Sky, also you'd be feeling off because I was very weak, like you'd be feeling not good. But here you are, you feel amazing, and you're going to put on your favorite outfit. I always put like a lounge outfit or fancy like pajamas. I'd
yes.
light a candle. I would then go make whatever I wanted. Like usually it's like a dinner, like a second dinner, because you have a light salad at a restaurant, it's not going to be your dinner. I'd
Right.
make one of my favorite recipes. I'd put on music, and
Oh,
I'd keep reminding myself that what would have happened right now is I would have crashed out, possibly
yes.
with my makeup still on in my clothes.
Right.
I would have either drunk more, I'd be feeling gross from heavy food. And I keep
Yeah.
reminding myself that look what I'm doing. And that
Yes.
really helps me with the whole healing. And basically, I do that every time. I did it as well when I came home from Gaga at like 1 a.m. I think I was so going on like adrenaline. I'd mostly juiced that day. I had a light salad. I went and got a blender and just threw, even though I don't usually eat that at that late at all,
Yeah.
it was so nice to actually kind of unwind because it was quiet. My feet were hurting. I was still buzzing from the concert, but I made myself
Yes.
actually made one of the nicest recipes. It was a new
Oh,
mock tuna in nori, and I dipped it in
oh,
soy sauce that had been a bit watered down with fresh ginger in it. And
yum.
it was really good, but I really think about what I achieved, like that I had the ability to go to a concert and didn't have what everybody else did. I still feel good. I'm not hungover. I will
Yes.
feel good tomorrow. I'm going to put my
Yes.
pajamas on and have a meal. And that ritualistic practice has served me probably better than whatever I do at the event, like where
Yes.
when I go.
It's really like a celebration of yourself, which
Yeah.
is so wonderful, and I really love how you connected back in with how it might have been had you had drank or eaten the foods or whatever, and that celebrated the fact that you didn't, and then came home and made something so delicious for yourself. I love that you lit the candle and were in your comfies and things that you enjoy. So it's all about like celebrating you and celebrating yourself and like your little victories, huge victories that you've accomplished. That's so amazing. Oh,
Well,
I
I
just
think
love it.
also when we do things like this, like when you go to Christmas Day and you eat differently to everybody else in the world, you do
Yes.
need to you do need to come home and celebrate that you are capable of doing something different to
Mhm.
everybody else in the world. Like
Yes.
it's such a it's like doing the Olympics. I think it's even more than doing the Olympics. I don't think people really understand how few raw vegans there are in the world versus the 8 billion. population, like how minute we are. So when you do it, it is like winning the Olympics. Like,
Ugh,
don't think I walk away from that and be like, oh, I didn't get to eat this. Go, hell yeah, look what I can do that nobody else can do. And to me, these is
love
all
that.
different levels of doing shadow work, right? Is because we're diving back into the addictions, the addiction pool, the places where we used to celebrate things like Christmas by eating copious amounts of food, which made us not feel great.
Hmm. Yeah. I went to a Christmas party and they had a taco bar. So I filled up my plate. I loaded up my plate with lettuce and tomatoes, and that's what I ate. And I felt great and I didn't overeat. I could have overate if I wanted to because it was lettuce, but I ended up feeling so good and I didn't drink. I had pineapple juice and I felt great, and I realized maybe 10 years ago I would have had um I don't know, the cooked beans or something, and or maybe a few drinks and not felt so good, but it feels good to be in control of yourself and to be able to drive and all the
Yes, that's
things.
another thing, right? And be happy. Like when
Yeah.
I have it, like this is, and I don't always get into the vegan conversation, but there's a comment coming up about compassion. I couldn't even
Mm,
be compassionate to myself until I ate raw foods. I couldn't be compassionate to an animal because I couldn't get out of bed. So the more I
yes.
look after me and give me self-love, the better this planet does. The government's
Mhm.
not paying, my parents aren't paying, no one's my carers anymore. It was my responsibility to get to a place where I stopped like needing all of these things to come in. And I like in my story is my greatest compassion comes from how compassionate I am to myself. And that's like something that I get to take to the dark now, right? Like, as in,
Yes.
like, whatever I visit, I have to remember. And I will say, trauma can lock you into a space where even when I have flashbacks, still as my memories coming back more and more lately, is I can not remember how far I've come. But then I walk out because I'm in my room and I'll get very distressed. And I'll be like, Mom, I'm so grateful these are coming back, but I forget how sick I was.
Oh,
And then I
yeah.
walk out and I see the lights on my little lounge here. And then I remember, I'm like, oh, I have come such a far way.
Yeah,
Like
yes.
we're really caught up in our past sometimes and forget just what we can achieve. And time is the greatest healer. You put some space between
Yeah,
something, even with post-traumatic stress, if it can ground you to see how far you've come.
for
Outside
sure.
is definitely like amazing, but when you get sometimes caught up in that dark, and that's probably what the ritual is for me when I come back from any place where I've gone into the dark for a period, where I
Mhm.
have to remember my light. Like, Skye, you've been doing this now almost 5 years, so many times. It's not that it gets, it does get easier, but sometimes you have different weaknesses come up that I didn't really want alcohol for years. And then this year, I've really, as I've had more symptoms kind of being around me, has been more of a struggle, but I never gave in. I was not going back. Alcohol is
Yeah.
something like, it's just not, I feel like it's a slippery slope. I feel like, for some people you could have one, but for me, I feel like once you've been an alcoholic, it's just a no-go zone. So,
Yeah, smart, really smart. Yeah,
yeah.
so great. And I like how, you can go to the dark, come back, you realize how far that you've come, and it does feel so good. I never felt so good as when I mean, I still feel good, but I just the difference between just
Yes.
vegan and raw when I was cooking dinner for my family, but I was able to stay raw and how great that felt. Like I felt like so good inside and things started to change for me. Like, if little traumas would come up or memories, I didn't hide in, having caffeine, or I didn't hide. I went strictly no caffeine, no matcha, no anything at first. I was so, so, so strict on myself. And things would come up and there was nowhere to hide. Like I couldn't eat any pain away. And I didn't realize that I had done that. But certain foods I would want when I was feeling a certain way, like I would be feeling like a little bit stressed out, or maybe I would have like a little bit of relationship tension or something, and I'd want cheese and crackers. I must have had that like back in the
Wow.
day. And so I wouldn't let myself have that. Or I would say to myself, okay, you can have vegan cheese, if you want to, but then I wouldn't even have that. Like, I would work out what was going on within me. And it was so easy for me to say, here's the issue. This is how I'm feeling. Why am I feeling like that? Where is this coming from? And the answer would come, oh, it would be like a childhood trauma type of thing or childhood issue. I would
Oh,
be able to tune into that and say, well, this is what happened, when I was a child. Now I'm an adult. How would I handle this if it were my child talking to me or something? How do I want to handle it? And EFT tapping. So sometimes I would just tap it away and let it go. And I was able to stay raw. And it felt so good to
I love that.
stay raw and let go of anything. Yeah, I just felt so light, like physically light, and then
Oh,
emotionally light, mentally light. Then way more compassion started to come in because I had room. Like I'm clearing out. I'm not 100% all trauma cleared out probably, but but like I just felt so clear and light. And then like whatever I'm having to face, I can just face it head on. Like, okay, let's do this. Let's figure this out now. Let's go for it. Let's
I
if there's
love
any
that.
relationship issue, I'm like, hey, is there anything going on between us? Are we okay, or are you upset? Like, I'm able to like call it out and figure out what's going on and how to kind of address it. So it's just been magic. It's just been so good to be raw,
I
um,
love it.
on an emotional or mental level for sure.
So when I first met Roy, a lot of people like, did you have detox symptoms? And I'm like, no. I felt like crap because I wasn't drinking, but there was no real detox. And the other thing is, people are like, you've been on these medications. A lot of people say you feel the effects for years and you cry and you cry. And I've said this so many times, is I think because of what I've been through when I lost my memory, it just all emotion is like locked up. And so when you say these things that come
Mhm.
up, if that didn't happen for me, I
Yeah.
would only get the craving. There was no memory there. Sometimes little bits, but not like I remembering. Like I do remember it used to be different. I don't know how, but I'm very conscious that it used to be so different, like completely
Mhm.
different. So
Yeah.
what I would do, and if
Yeah.
this can help people as well, is so I would be able to be raw all day. Nature was like hugging me all the time. I was actually
Oh, yeah.
present and okay and would talk to trees and flowers and had like imaginary friends. I mean, I was dissociated. So that all helped me. I'm very grateful for that. Like unbelievably grateful. It help me survive. But when I get into bed at night and I would have had most of the day, I just pick at fresh food like
Mhm.
carrots, celery, cucumbers, some nuts, berries, maybe a bit of watermelon. My afternoon was the salad that saved my life. Different variations of the same principle in a bowl. No blender, no nothing, just the flavors I wanted mixed together in a bowl. And then sometimes afterwards, I'd need an avocado. Like I still hadn't eaten enough. But I tended to then get into bed and be like, I'm going to die right now if I don't have like some sort of like noodle, like Thai or Chinese or something, right? Is they these cravings would come up. So I'd be like, right, Scott, you can't go back because you'll be too sick. But if you can
Right.
eat anything raw, grab a bowl and put the flavors you've got. So I go, right, I get vegetable peel and make like carrot noodles in the
Yes.
bowl. I pour some soy sauce in and I go, okay, I might put some cashews in. I might put some lemon juice on top, maybe a piece of basil, and be like, okay, it kind of looks like a noodle dish. And
Yes.
then I'd eat it. And I'd be
Yes.
like, okay, I got through that. I'm still raw. And
Uh-huh.
in the morning, just start again. And
Yes.
it's not like it is raw, but it's like I was trying to eat light, but I didn't order Chinese and didn't order the Thai. I kind of met myself somewhere, met myself midway in
Yeah.
the dark, right? But no, that's fine to eat. It's just like in the middle of the night or like late at night, I'd have it. And I made little bowl, and they weren't big, like what we know as raw food, because you're so new to it. And I barely ate back then as well because I've been so sick. So they're like
Yes.
tiny little meals that, and I just faced each time one came up. That's basically how I did. I think that's actually how my recipes evolved because I faced all of this by doing that. Like I was like, I know how strong addiction is and I can't beat it. So I'm joining it like somewhere along the line
I
there.
love that. And I love how you threw things together and you made it look like what you wanted it to look like. Isn't the
Yes.
visual piece so powerful? Like, I feel like that's part of my journey with raw is it's so visually appealing to me. If a food doesn't look good, I won't eat it. But and then somebody in the chat wanted to know if you can do shadow work when you're in a good headspace. You can.
So do you want
Absolutely.
to talk on that? Because as I saw Koala Mama say here, she's not in that space, and I wasn't for years. But
Uh-huh.
I actually feel where I am at now is it's not possible to get my memory back without dancing in the dark. And thank God I've got tools, like literally dancing in the dark with
Yes.
Gaga. Is as it
Yes.
comes back, but I was like that for years. So maybe we bring up this.
A lot of times our shadow is something in ourselves that we don't want to look at. And sometimes it's things that we don't even know yet. We're not quite in touch with it. And I always say a really great place to start is just by imagining that you can breathe through your heart. It sounds so easy. It is easy. It's very easy. It's very deceptively simple because it's so powerful. But even just start, like tuning into your heart, breathing through your heart, imagining that you can breathe through your heart, and just allowing to come up what comes up. And as you're breathing through your heart, you may have some uncomfortable thoughts that come up, some feelings, maybe cravings, and just kind of sit with that for a minute. And you can still be in a good space while you do it.
Can I ask
Yes.
what's the purpose of it? So I'm kind of with Koala Mama is when I was in my
Yeah.
light energy, I was so happy and content. And I think one of the big things it did was get me away from trauma. To be in the
Mm-hmm.
light so long, I'm very far away from it now. But to be honest, I would never sit there and bring it on. Like, what are the benefits for somebody? I mean, we all have, to be honest, I think we all have a
Yeah.
lot. Like, what are the benefits for someone who's just in their, light energy
Right.
to bring on the dark? Because I just feel like I don't want to open a can of worms. Like, I just let it
Yeah.
come and I dance in that space because it's come.
Right. It makes sense. Like, why are you going to go bother chase trouble? Why are you going to go do that?
Yeah,
But
that's what I feel is
yeah,
like I feel like a lot of my life is I was getting dopamine from chasing trouble, and I'm like, I'm not
yeah.
opening that gate. I can
So
set food.
actually, the shadow self has a lot of gifts for us there. It's the side of
Oh,
ourselves that we don't like to look at. Maybe it's a personality trait that we have that belongs to a family member and we don't like it and we don't like to look at it. But actually, it deepens who we are, it enriches our personality, and it creates compassion for others. So you begin to see traits in others. Maybe you see someone that's very cranky or
yeah,
having a bad day or just is not living their life to the fullest, but you actually can tune into that. You can see their higher self. You can see, they are that way because of the trauma that they've been through. So shadow work helps us to
yeah.
connect with ourselves. And then we just there's nowhere to hide. We're just who we are. And we're not afraid. So the shadow can really help us. It can also help us work through fears. I'm trying to
It's given me the biggest thing it's making me think about is the compassion. So
Mhm.
what I think about when somebody says something nasty to me, it is never about them, no matter how horrible the comment is. It's about me. It's triggered something in me because I can read comments for ages and it never bothered me, and all of a sudden, something even much less will trigger
Yeah,
me, and
just
I
a
will get
certain thing. Yeah.
yeah, and I won't necessarily comment back, but I will get bad thoughts. But what I've learned being on this journey is within a few weeks, I will have to face something about myself in this arena. It's never failed me. So it's not worth getting into an argument with the person because it is about me. In a few months, that will not have the same effect on me. So don't
Yes,
engage. It can be
exactly.
very hard because we think we've got to vent and we've got to give them a piece of our mind. And
Yeah.
really, I've read worse comments and never been like, oh, just next. Like it had no effect on me. And
Right.
so, but what I do know, and these are small snippets I used to get. And in fact, I'm much more compassionate now because of the dark I've danced with all year. I'm so much more grounded and able to see people. And I needed to I've been disconnected from the world. 15 years I was in a bed straight or hospital.
Oh,
So
gosh.
the way that I related to people when I was in the light, I would sometimes get a few, like it would just like how
Ugh.
they say it, and it was but something would come up. But I feel in this past year, you're right. The biggest thing is the amount of compassion and connection I have for all humans because of
Mhm.
what I've done. But also the gift of getting memories back, even if some are not so great, is you become more of yourself. But for me, the lesson I think you've made me realize this year.
Yeah, right. The shadow is where your triggers are. When you're like, there you go.
Yeah.
There's your shadow." And just exploring it can be beautiful. A lot of times it has something to do with like your inner child. There's something that your inner child is needing.
It
Some
would, but I actually think what I've done, Marabella, and we'll have to wind it up in a second, is I
Okay.
actually think I've made in my own psyche, my inner child, the only one that's still strong. And so I think there's things that I can't go to yet. Like she's holding the fort because I split. She's the only one in my mind, I think, that's still together. And you can call this psychology or shadow work, but I think
Right.
I'm very real with what's going on in my brain. I
Mhm.
do believe that when I think it back to her, she had been not touched by sickness. She had not had to go through what I did. She had this other perspective. And I guess it might be part of having that split personality type thing going on. She can have, like, she holds fort. So I never go back to her for anything more than holding me together. So it's interesting where we're all at, right?
Yeah. So great. And everyone is ascending, we're all
Yes.
ascending with the light and with our planets ascending. And so we're all in different places, but it's so great to honor where you are and to honor other people where they are and to not to, when someone blows up, just let them have it. It's about them, not about you, and send them love from your
It's
heart.
true. It was actually, well, just one more thing on the pain is when mum got Lyme's and she was undiagnosed for years. So I was undiagnosed for almost 10 years. And I was just no one believed it. It's just Skye again. Oh, she's probably made it up. And there's this battle. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. Is when mum got sick, she goes, I get it. And from that point, the amount of compassion that someone like, I guess I've watched my mum has for anybody who has illness. And then my sister, she can't have that compassion. She's only been to hospital to have a baby. That's it. So she can
Yeah.
work, she can ask, but she just can't go into that space. And that's where
Yes.
the wounded healer comes from, right? Is the best healer when we hear old fables and stuff, is there's always that guy or that shaman that sits outside of the village with the one leg or the limp or the
Yes.
wounded healer. I love
Right.
this topic.
I love it too. Thank you guys in the chat for chit-chatting.
Yes, and I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you.
Someone went through is recovering from a spinal fusion.
Oh,
So
sending
I'm
you
sending.
lots of love and light for your recovery, for a
Yes,
complete recovery.
and anybody interested, I am jumping in. Marcus, he's the juice doctor, his community now, and doing a talk. If you want the link, it is in my story on Instagram. That's the only place I think I managed to post it today quickly. That's why I'm like closing up here. I'm like jumping over there. So if
Yeah.
anybody wants to join, it's a Zoom call. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your
Thanks,
time.
everybody. See you all soon.
Love you
Stay in the path of
guys.
light, self love. Bye.
Bye.